the next couple of months, I found myself on a Netflix production. Sadly, like 5 months after being diagnosed, we lost her. I didn't know it, but my whole life was just changing. I'm deeply grateful for every single person who has subscribed to the channel. How do you make God laugh? You tell him your plans. I wanted to start this video with a kind of light-hearted joke, but a painfully truth-revealing joke, because I think it's very insightful. This is why I kind of want to share my story today, because back in 2018, I was pursuing a career as a musician, and I had been pursuing this career for about 10 to 15 years. I kind of come out of school, and that was all I did. Alongside teaching music, I played gigs, I did shows, I did everything I could, got on the radio, played as much as I could to get ahead. And when I reached 30 in 2018, that kind of pursuit came to a halt. There was just a crossing in my road that I had to take. It was either to keep pursuing this dream of mine or take on another challenge that had presented itself. And at that time, my father, funnily enough, had just reached his 40th year in his career. My dad is a martial art instructor, and he, for some reason, I don't even know why, bought himself a camera. And I remember the words very vividly. He went, "You're creative. Make me a film about my life in the martial arts." And so I just said, yeah, okay, sure. So we quickly just got to work. We started making something that, really was just messing around. But I find when you're messing around, that's when your best work happens. Anyway, we got to the end of the process, got to loads of archived footage, loads of pictures of, my sister and I and my mum, we all did it when we were younger. And I collected all of this footage, newspaper cuttings, and made a little film for him. And I was dead chuffed with it at the time. And naively, I, submitted it to a local short film festival where I got some feedback. I didn't get shortlisted or win any awards, but I got some feedback. And the feedback was very promising. It was something along the lines of keep doing this and keep pursuing, what you've done. So it was at the time where I was very depressed about my career in music. This was a bit of a lifeline. And then out of nowhere, I got an email. And the email said, "Hi Jay, we're looking for someone in the area to work alongside an actor in the same dialect, as yourself. Would you be interested?" And I said, "Yeah, sure. What kind of thing is it? Is it, just a local TV thing, or what do you need?" He said, "It's actually for an A-list kind of Hollywood star. And he's doing a film local to your area. He needs someone to keep him in the dialect that you speak, which is a very particular dialect from where I'm from. I'm from a place called Suffolk in the United Kingdom. You can't really hear it in my voice now, and I'm not going to do it for you on camera because it's a bit random. But the point is that he needed someone around him to help him whilst on this film with my dialect. Anyway, I go into this interview, and like a day before, I'm told that the actor is Ray Fiennes. As you know, massive actor huge wealth of films behind him, from Schindler's List and Harry Potter and all of that, Grand Budapest Hotel. Just a fine, fine actor. And I think with the morning of my career, I went into that interview a little like, whatever, let's just see what happens. I was kind of in a very weird headspace. And I got into the room. It was like in a hotel. It was like this, function room. And we started reading lines together. And immediately, for no reason at all, I just started correcting him. I just said, I wouldn't say it like this. I'd do it, this isn't. And I think my musician kind of ear was kicking in. And I think he liked that. And I think we got on. And we shook hands and parted ways. And I didn't really think too much about it. I was kind of still a bit in shock of what had happened. And then the next day, he gave me a call in the Suffolk dialect. I'll do it for you. He said, "Hi Jay, would you be interested in working on this film with me?" And well, right there, I was like, yeah, of course. So I was working at a school teaching music at the time. It was September 1st or something like that. It was the beginning of the school year. Phoned in, said, "I'm really sorry. I won't be coming in this week, and I won't be coming in for the next couple of months. I'm going to be working on a film." And in that moment, so the next couple of months, I found myself on a Netflix production. I was surrounded by people like, obviously, Ray Fiennes, Kerry Mulligan, Johnny Flynn, Lily James, some of the finest kind of actors, in British cinema. And it was just so eye-opening. I was just, it was so exhausting as well. It was such a hard slog. If anyone's ever worked on a film production, they'll know what I'm talking about. They are hard, long days. And I found myself very much so at the center of the film world, completely extreme to where I had been for years, slogging away, getting nowhere, playing every toilet. And here I was right in the middle of it. And I thought, wow, maybe this is what I'm supposed to do. Maybe film is where I'm supposed to be. And I made a good couple of friends on that production. One of them that stood out was the stills photographer. His name was Larry. Great guy. We used to always go for drinks in the hotel after the production. Just good chats, good vibes. He also played guitar, so I think we bonded over that. But I really loved his job. I loved what he did. He was working for himself, working, in the midst of it. He was called upon when needed. He was getting all of the BTS, and he lovingly took a couple of shots of me while on the production, which he did not have to do at all, but I thank him for that. And yeah, in retrospect, I was like, I want to do that job. That would be, just as the photographer, that kind of aligned with me more. And, leading up to the dig, I'd actually started my video kind of business. I'd started shooting weddings and started to move into, becoming a videographer. Little did I know that actually photography was pulling me the same way. And also little did I know that I'd just end up doing both, using my camera to really forward my career. But that was the inspiration I needed to then go, okay, I'm going to go and take this into my next venture. Sadly, though, as we all know, I worked with Rafe and the team in 2019, and in 2020, COVID hit. And it was completely destroying it. It destroyed my whole path. The thing that I thought, wow, I've been given a lifeline here after serving the music industry for 15 years. I've now been given a gift, and that was taken away from me. I thought, But it was taken away from everyone, though, so it's just, I won't just point it at myself. And what was even worse is that in 2021, my mum got sick. And that was actually really the turning point of my whole career, really. And sadly, like 5 months after being diagnosed, we lost her. She didn't have long. And she unfortunately she's not with us anymore. But one of the most difficult lessons for me to learn about all of that was after she passed. It was only like a couple of weeks, 3 weeks later, that the phone stopped ringing. The Facebook kind of likes of all of that started to diminish, and people stopped knocking on the door. You know, life went on. And obviously I was like kind of hurt by that. I was really kind of angry at the time. But I get it. You know, people have died around me that are not part of my family, and maybe I've acted in the same way. And the lesson is how quickly we're forgotten, and how quickly none of this really matters. And this is what I'm leading to, is that during that time of reflection and grief, I realised basically I just needed to do the one thing that scared me most, and that is just us hopping up on here, you know, getting in front of the camera. I've been behind the camera for long enough, and it was time in 2022 that I told my story, and so I dedicated myself to turning up here on YouTube, and have done so consistently now for nearly 3 years. It's come up to 3 years, and it's changed my life. Now, I'd rather my mum here, but the lesson that I learned was so powerful that it burned something inside of me that said, I'm not fucking around anymore. You know, I seemed to be doing so maybe when I was a musician. Maybe I was having too much fun, but I had this kind of fuck it attitude. Like, I don't care what anyone thinks. And that attitude has served me so well since Mum's passing, and has got me to here, which, like I said, 3 years down the road, I'm running my own business. You know, working as well. I wouldn't say as hard as I can. I've worked as hard as I can to get to a place where life is easier. You know, clients come and work with me. I can travel as much as I want. I can. I'm now working with photographers and videographers. I'm helping them do what I did. Creating content, which, you know, is the dream. Is just make stuff, and I feel, you know, truly fulfilled. And it is through, you know, hardship and struggle that I've got to this place. And I'm sure I've got more to come. I'm actually going through something at the moment, but I won't be sharing that on here just yet. But my point is that, you know, take from the lessons that are most painful. You know, it's easy to kind of shun them or forget them, but there's something deeper to be learned in everything that hurts. And, you know, like I said at the beginning as well, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. None of this was planned. It wasn't supposed to be, you know, many moons ago. It wasn't supposed to be a photographer, at least a photographer teaching other photographers. It was meant to be a musician on stage, you know, playing at Glastonbury, which I did play at Glastonbury once. But not on the main stage. So look, this is just I want to give some insight into basically my backstory. This is, where I am, how I'm going forward, how I'm now more fulfilled in my work than ever, and how I kind of will keep turning up in my life. Anyway, look, I've rambled for far too long, but I will say this. Thank you so much. I'm deeply grateful for every single person who has subscribed to the channel, who has liked a video, who has shared a video, who has commented, and who has worked with me. I am really, really touched. And if I can be of service and of help, I think, that's a good place to be. And that's a good place to leave it. So look, thank you so much again. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.